Hello, everybody. Namaste. A huge welcome. I hope you're enjoying the summit. I am. I loved all the sessions so far. My name is Parul Agrawal. I'm an international best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, one of the top 5 storytellers as mentioned by the USA Today themselves. I'm the founder of parulagrawal.com, which is an influence agency. And so far, my company and I personally have helped more than 200 writers write, publish, and market their books to bestseller statuses. I'm also a contributor for Forbes and certain other publications. And recently, I actually had the honor of joining Business Venus, a Hong Kong-based digital publication for women, as the chief editor. By education, I'm an engineer with 2 master's degrees in electrical engineering and material science engineering. But by my passion, I'm an entrepreneur. So today for the summit, I'll be talking about how to make the biggest impact with the least amount of effort. Now, we are seeing day in and day out that people on Instagram and people on Facebook, they keep posting all the time, like after every 10 minutes. So one time they will be sitting in their office having a meeting. The next minute they will be standing in front of a jet. The third minute they will be actually, meeting a CEO or maybe like Prime Minister of India. Of course, this is exaggeration, but the vibe that it gives us entrepreneurs is that we have to do a whole lot of things, because if we are not doing all this, if we are not, being at the right place at the right time, we are missing on opportunity. And if you're not hustling, then we are missing on opportunity or, lagging behind compared to other entrepreneurs and other leaders. I want to tell you that's not the truth, The biggest impact we can make is by not dispersing our energy on hundreds of things, but having a crystal focus, 1-point focus, and doing one thing, and that too really well in a certain amount of time. So how do we find that focus, and how do we make it a big impact, right? So in my business, the biggest way that I have actually built my business, essentially, what I am, what I was, the way I started my business was essentially from my kitchen counter, carrying a new baby in my arms. I started by juicing. I started, offering workshops on health and wellness in the town, in Phoenix. I live in Phoenix, in town. And then I grew. I wrote my first book. The book became really popular in different categories and different countries. And from the popularity of my book, I ventured into this new business of book marketing and book publishing because I had to learn how to publish and market my own book. And what popped more me was because of my engineering background, I was able to understand this amazing world of book publishing and marketing easily. And even after I wrote my book, and even after I was, famous enough and credible enough in my industry, I was having difficulty reaching that level that I really wanted to. Of course, slow and steady wins the business, and entrepreneurial journey is full of ups and downs. But something that always stuck with me is how I could go give back to the community. So I'm a mom. And I'm in touch with obviously other moms. And I thought, I have this publication knowledge and I know how to write a book. I know how to publish a book. I know how to market a book, and I know how to make it a bestseller. Okay. So why not give other moms a platform and let them share their stories in a book and let me do all the hard work. So that is how this first idea came into my mind and I published my first book, When You Are Done Expecting. And that was my very first book. And it had stories from more than 100 moms from all across the globe. But how it helped me and how it skyrocketed my business is something which is unimaginable. So once I gave these moms a platform to share their message in the book, I built trust among all these women. And most of them were moms, obviously, because this is a book on moms, but most of them were entrepreneurs, podcasters, bloggers, and founder of magazines and stuff. So not only was I able to build trust among this community by giving them this platform to share their message in form of a collaborative book, but I was also able to get business by sharing my knowledge and sharing all my publishing secrets through this book. So they saw that, yes, there was this woman or this person, she knew how to do books. And whether they were writing books or their friends or their clients were writing books, they referred me for the book marketing and publishing, right? So I kind of built a trust among my community in my field of expertise without doing much, just bringing people together, just bringing the community together. And not only it helped me, it helped the other people, it helped people who were a part of the book as well, because these people or these women, they started interacting with each other because now they had a common goal. They were all together on this common mission. And some of these moms ended up having businesses together. They ended up, starting an online publication together. They collaborated for different projects. They ended up, interviewing each other for their podcast. So not only it helped me, but it also helped all the collaborators that were a part of the book. So that was my first book. And after that, I have done like multiple collaborative books. And the recent one was the growth hacking book and the one book. The growth hacking book is essentially, as you can see, talks about growth hacking. And it is a book which top influencers from the industry have shared their tips on how to grow a business in this era. And again, this book has done extremely well. Reason being, lots of influencers, lots of people in the digital marketing, social media arena were a part of this book. And when you are collaborating with people, it's not just that you are or you have to do most of the marketing, because most of these collaborators who are a part of the book are also equally invested, and they are also promoting the book. So if you are able to reach 100 people or 1,000 people with your network, these other 10, 20 or 30 people, how many people you collaborate with for the book, are able to reach another 100 or 1,000 people. So you see, it creates a ripple effect. So now your book and your message is able to reach a wider audience. So sitting from your home, writing a chapter in the book, getting people involved, you are able to not only share your message with millions of people, but also create a huge impact. So now you will ask me, hey, but writing a book is so difficult. I don't really know how to go about it. What is the process? Everybody is busy. Yes, everybody is busy, and book publishing is not very easy, but it's not very difficult at the same time. And right now, because everybody is indoors, people have more time to think and write. And that's the beauty of collaborative books, right? Because all you have to do, you have to ask your collaborative partners or other authors, is to write a chapter worth 500 to 1,000 words. That's about it, 500 to 1,000 words. You could definitely make it 2,000 based on the number of authors and the extent of the book you want. But all they have to do is essentially submit a chapter, and the person who is essentially publishing the book, right? In this case, if let's say you want to publish a book, you are the collaborator, you are the publisher of the book. you have to collect all the stories and publish them, right? So what is the process? So I will just be laying out very simple steps today for our summit here. Um, so obviously, the first step is we have to come up with the idea, and the idea has to be a common theme. So let's say talking about this period where we are all indoors, where we are all isolated because of the virus situation going out in the world. We are all indoors, right? So a common theme, a common topic could be business ideas or that you got, or new business ideas that you received while you were in isolation, or how you grew your business while you were in isolation and not able to meet people in networking meetings. So that could be like a common theme, right? Now, once you have a common theme, you need to next find out, or at least, come up with a list of, let's say, 50 contributors who could write their insight on this particular topic. Once you have that list of 50 writers, it could be people from your network, the people you work with, even reaching out to people on LinkedIn who seem to be doing really well during this time, and who you think their insight could be really valuable to your readers. Reaching out to them, telling them about the mission and vision of the project, and getting them on board, right? So once you have your topic and you have a list of 50 authors, not everybody will maybe say yes. So you have to decide. Let's say if you want to do a collaborative book with 15 authors or 20 authors, so maybe you have to reach at least double amount of that. So you have to reach out to 40 authors, because generally what I have seen is 50% of people say yes if you show them the vision, the mission, and the idea behind your great project. So let's say once you have the idea and you have the your writers ready, the next stage would be to get all your chapters. So you could tell your writers to write 500 to 1,000 words worth of a chapter on the techniques probably they use to grow their businesses during isolation, or if they came up with a new idea, then during this isolation, then you could talk about that. So this is just an example, right? I mean, of course, it doesn't have to be the same, but I'm just using this as an example. And you could use this process now or even later. So once we have our topic, once we have our list of authors, and once we have our articles from the authors, the next thing is to get them edited. So it's a good idea to have a good editor and a proofreader on your team. Editor mostly would make sure, because if you're getting articles from 10, 20 different people, each of them will have a different tone, a different style. So the whole point of the editor would be to make sure that it's not only grammatically correct, but usually the tone of the book is similar, and none of the topics are kind of overlapping with each other, because you don't want your book to sound monotonous, right? So you have to have unique topics, and the editor and you, the person who is actually publishing it, could make sure that you have unique topics and everything is in sync, so the manuscript flows beautifully. Once you have your edited articles, it's a good idea to send it to a proofreader. Meanwhile, you also have to obviously come up with a cover. So books like this with, if you have 20 or 30 authors in your book, you can always actually put their images on the cover. It's up to you. Obviously, it depends upon the cover designer. What I have seen is if you do put the contributor's picture on the cover, then they're more inclined to promote the book, because everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody wants to see their picture on a book cover, right? So if you do put their picture, and if the design permits, if you're a cover designer and the design permits, it's a good idea to maybe put their pictures on the front or the back of the cover. But if not, if you have 50 authors, let's say, or maybe even 100 authors, it's not possible to put all the pictures on the cover. Then you keep a generic cover and maybe add the pictures on the website or inside also. Sometimes people in some books, what people like to do is add the author picture just like this right next to their bio. And that also gives authors, the contributors, motivation to promote the book, right? So once you have the cover ready, you have your manuscript ready, edited and proofread, the next stage is to publish it, right? So how do you publish a book? Some of you might or might not know that one of the easiest way to publish a book is the self-publishing route. Now, self-publishing is different from traditional publishing. In self-publishing, essentially, you go on these portals. Amazon is one of them. IngramSpark is another. You go on one of the self-publishing portals. You upload your manuscript. You create your accounts and everything, and you're almost ready to publish the book once you have your manuscript ready. In the traditional publishing route, you essentially have to pitch your story, pitch your synopsis, pitch your marketing plan to a traditional publisher and wait for them to say yes or no. In traditional publishing, most of the time, and most of the time, it's not always, most of the time, you do not really have to put money down for editing, publishing, marketing, because that's the job of the publisher. Whereas in self-publishing, you essentially have to do all this running around on your own. You have to find your own team, you have to find your own editors, you have to find your own book cover designers. The good thing is that you have more say in the process if you're self-publishing, and you get to keep most of your royalties. Whereas in traditional publishing, you are actually kind of working with the publisher, and they might be keeping a bigger portion, and you will be getting little less royalties. It's basically depends on your publisher. Some publishers give a huge advance check, but they do expect authors to heavily promote the book and go from different cities to do book signings and stuff. Whereas in self-publishing, you are actually looking at the book as your best business card and using it to promote yourself as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, as a person who is an expert in your field. So which is good, which is bad? There is no right and wrong answer for it. Both have their own advantages and disadvantages. The idea is to see which works best for you. In book publishing, we say that the best day to write a book is today. The second best was yesterday. So if you have to wait 6 months to 1 year waiting for the publisher to say yes to your book, it might or might not make sense, especially if you're using book as your business building tool. So now, once you have decided the publishing platform, the most common publishing platform is Amazon. The site that Amazon uses is kdp.amazon.com. So once you have this site, kdp.amazon.com, essentially you have to create your account. Creating your account is as simple as, signing up for an email. So you create your account, you input your tax information there, you input your bank information there. And once everything is ready on the back end, you are ready to upload your files, which is manuscript and your cover. You also need the file as a PDF for the paperback and as an EPUB or .kdp or .movie, such like an e-compatible version for the Kindle version, which is like the digital online version. So once you have all that ready, and you set up your keywords, you set up your categories, you are essentially ready to make the book live. And once you make the book live, there is a process, essentially a pre-marketing process, a post-marketing, and during the launch process, which you could use to market your book and set it up as a bestseller. So the way bestseller works, and to just give you a quick overview, is basically Amazon allows us to bisect categories. Now, those are the categories how books are listed in Library of Congress. But at the same time, you can have Amazon put your book into certain niche categories, right? And these niche categories essentially are the categories which are based on the algorithm. And you work closely with Amazon, emailing them back and forth. And once you put your book in these categories, the categories are reflected on Amazon within 24 hours to 48 hours. And once you start selling some books on Amazon, the categories will start reflecting on Amazon page. And then you could see that, your book is sort of ranking high in one of your chosen categories, right? And a couple of things that you need to take care of while launching the book is getting your launch team ready. So what do you mean by getting your launch team ready? So getting your launch team ready essentially means having people, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your clients, your gardener, your mother-in-law, father-in-law, pretty much anybody and everybody that you could reach out to, and asking them to buy your book, share your book with your friends, and leave a review. Because all these things matter really to rank your book high on the bestseller list. And that's where these collaborative books come into picture, is because the more people you have in the book, even if it's like 10 or 20 dedicated authors, if you have in your book, it's not just you, but all these other authors and contributors are also sharing their book on all the platforms and all the networks, with all their friends, family, colleagues, relatives again. And that's why now it creates, as I mentioned earlier, a ripple effect, and your book reaches a wider audience and a wider population. So the burden of marketing, is kind of split among all these authors and contributors, and you really do not have to think about just doing everything, doing all the running. You could actually just focus on few things of the publication aspect, and your contributors could really help you in those promotions. So if you have contributors who actually have a huge network, maybe like say 10,000 or 20,000 people in their email list, then you can also pitch the book for a USA Today bestseller, and not just an Amazon bestseller, but also a USA Today bestseller. Because with USA Today, what they need is around 6,000 sales during the launch week, right? 6,000 sales during the week of launch of your book. And out of these 6,000 sales, I'm thinking like maybe 500 or 550 have to come from platforms outside of Amazon. So which means like you have to also put your book on other platforms, such as Ingram Spark, such as, iBooks, Nooks and stuff like that. And get your book, get some sales of your book from those platforms also. And of course, it all becomes easy. It all becomes possible if you have people who have the same vision, the same mission, and they're working to promote your book also, because they're invested in the book, because they have their own article and their own chapters in the book. So, this is one of the simplest way, the easiest way to make a big impact with your message, and at the same time build trust and build credibility among your clients, among your community, and be an expert in your industry. So let me know if you have any questions, concerns. If you would like to brainstorm further, if you are writing a book, whether it be a collaborative book or whether it be an individual book, the process is essentially the same. My website is parulagrawal.com. Parul is Parul. So it's like Paul with an R in center, Parul, Agrawal, Agrawal, agrawal.com. So that's it for now. And thank you so much, and keep enjoying the summit. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and listening to me. So let's create a bigger impact with the least amount of effort. Thank you so much. Namaste.